Okay, so again, starting in the drive is where you want to always begin when you're creating new documents, and navigating to the folder where you want the new document to go. And this time we're going to do Google Forms, so you have to click More and then go to Google Forms. Now you can, again, just like with slides, you can do from template or a blank form. So we're just going to do blank form. Create and share for me. You shouldn't have to do that. All right, and then the entitle form. All right, so we're going to have to give it a title. So this is that. And you'll notice it stays untitled form. As soon as I click up here, it gives it the same title. I can give it a description to kind of talk about what this is going to be about. And so I give it a description, and then I can start adding my question. So there are some question types that you can do. So we're going to go over all these. First off, multiple choice. So I'll type in my question. Text writing. So then you can type in some options. And as you add sections, it just keeps adding. So you can add as many multiple choice options as you want. There's no really limitation to that. And then you can add what's called other. Now adding other allows the user to type in another response. So you can choose to add that or you can keep that off. It's just dependent on you. So if you want to make this a true multiple choice, then that. If you want to make it a little bit harder on whoever's taking this, like if this is a test of some kind, you could have them add the other just to kind of make them think about that. Another thing you can do is you can add images. And I'll create a new question before I do that. So I'll add a question. And this time I'm going to add an image. And we can choose an image to upload just like before. I can go to my drive. I can even search. So I can search for an image. And I can add that image as my question. I can say, what is this? You can resize your image. Then you can start typing in your responses. Okay. And that's still multiple choice. But I could also change this to short answer. And so now this is a short answer question. I can change this to a paragraph, and so that's pretty straightforward. I can do checkboxes. So maybe it could be multiple. Multiple answers are right. So maybe that's when you need checkboxes. Maybe you want to drop down to select from. So it's still one choice, but it's a drop down menu. Instead, you can do where they have to upload a file. So files will be uploaded to the Forms Google Drive. Respondents will be required to sign in, blah, blah, blah. So I can click continue. And I can allow specific file types. I can say, look, you can only submit a document for this question. You can only submit up to 5, or you can only submit 1. The file size, you can go all the way up to 10 gigs for the file size, or all the way down to 1 megabyte, depending on what you want to do. So the file upload, then there's the Likert scale or the linear scale, 1 to 5. You can have a beginning, doesn't make sense for this, but good and bad could be that way, or it could be the opposite. Maybe bad is 1, good is the other. Okay, so there's your Likert scale, multiple choice grid. So this is, and this seems like maybe a little confusing, but basically it kind of creates like a table of things. So like, I could put coffee, tea, Coke, water, and then I could add some columns. Love it. It's okay. Hate it. And to kind of show you what this looks like, anytime you want to see what a question looks like, you can hit the preview button. And so when I come here, we can actually select. Obviously I spelled that wrong, but I love coffee, or this is okay and Coke's good, but I hate water or whatever. So that's actually some things that you can do with that. So anytime you're curious of what it's going to look like, you can go to the preview mode Okay, so I'm going to leave that. Then there's checkbox grid. Same thing, but it allows a checkbox instead of just one selection. So maybe it's a situation where they can select multiple. So that's the only difference between the checkbox grid and the multiple choice grid, is that you can select multiple. Then there's also the date. Okay, so the survey could be, or a test could be asking a specific date. So again, if you preview this, you can kind of see what it looks like. They have to select a date as their answer choice. And then finally time, same exact idea. If I preview this, I'll show what it looks like for them. They have to type in a time for AM or PM. Okay, so that's what it does for the person taking the survey. Okay, another thing that you can do is you can make questions required or not required. Mine are defaulted to always be required. That's just something I made them default to. And I'll show you how you can change that. So that's what you can do once you're in a question. You can actually duplicate a question. So maybe this format of a question is a question you like. Maybe you're going to add a lot of multiple choice questions, and you can just keep clicking duplicate, and then you can just change what's here. Another thing you can do is you can add a section, and what that does for you is it allows you to move from one section to another, and I'll show you what that looks like. So if I go here, I have to answer this before I go to the next section. Okay, so that's what the sections are used for. I can insert videos. So I can insert a video, and just title it. And the video itself isn't a question, but it's something they can watch, and then there could be a question afterwards based on the video. You can also just insert images. It's the same thing. The image itself is not the question, because what you can do is inside of question, you can just upload an image anyways. Okay, so you don't really need to worry about that. If you click the down arrows, you can add a caption to a video. If you click the down arrows on a question like this one, like you can actually, with the picture, you can actually center align it and do some other things. So that's what you can do with that. If you decide you don't want a question, so maybe you don't want this question, you can just hit the trash can on it. So you have to actually click on the question itself and then delete it. You can move questions around, so maybe the order doesn't make sense. Maybe you want to move this one up a little bit. Maybe it should be first, so you just grab it and move it. You can also add a title and description to a section. So like this being my second section, there's a title and description for that. And I can actually move selection, delete section, merge with above. So maybe I decided I don't want different sections. Maybe I just want it to be one running list. I can actually merge it back into this, and now I only have one section. Anytime you do something like that, you can click undo, and it undoes the process for you. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can add a palette. You can add colors, and then you can actually add a picture. So I can select that, and now that's going to be my main picture running across here. Another thing that you can do is go to your settings, and you can decide what it's going to happen. You can have it collect email addresses and give a response to the recipients if they request it, or just give it to them whether they do or not. You don't have to collect email addresses. You can restrict it to the domain that you're at. You can limit them to one response, but it says this will make them sign into Google. So if they don't have a Google account, then you do not want to do that. You can choose if you want them to edit after they submit. You can choose whether they see the summary charts. You can talk about the presentation. So will there be a progress bar? This is only necessary if you have multiple sections. You can shuffle the question order. So maybe it is a quiz. So you want to actually shuffle the order. You can show link to submit another response if you want to. So maybe this is something where they have to respond and then respond again. It's not just one response. And then you can give them a confirmation message. You can actually type up something nice there for them. Quizzes. So I can make this a quiz. And then I can decide, do I want to grade this immediately or later? I would say this definitely, if it's going to have short answer. But if it's mainly multiple choice and things that can be automatically graded, go here. And then you can actually decide which one that they can see. So Do you want them to see their missed questions? Yes or no? Do you want to see them the correct answers? Yes or no? Do you want them to see point values? Yes or no? And then you can click Save. So now this has been turned to a quiz. So talk about what you can do. You need to add an answer key. Now you'll see mine defaults to 1 point. That's because what I have it defaulted to, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But if you click the answer key, you are now choosing what the right answer is. And then you can go back to edit question when you want to edit the question. So, here's the question, here's the right answer, and it's defaulting to 1 point. I can increase or decrease that at any moment in time. And then I just, click back to edit question when I'm done. And then I see a nice check mark letting me know, okay, that's been the selection of the right answer. You can also do that for short answers. So if I come down here and I add a new question, hit the plus button, and I say, what is 2 plus 2? I can change this to a short answer. And I can add an answer key. And I can say the correct answer is 4. I could also say it's 4. So if they type in 4 and maybe they capitalize it, okay? I can say mark all other answers incorrect. So anything else they type in here is just automatically going to be wrong. I don't even need to check it. And again, I can increase or decrease those points. So to default points, you click this button here, the more. For that, and you click preferences. So by default, all my questions are required, and you can check that or not. Default quiz point value. So if I do make it a quiz, I can default quiz value, and I can make all of them 2. I can make them all 1, depending on what I want to do. I click save. So now anytime I add a question to this quiz, it's defaulting to 1 point automatically. Checkboxes are also automatically graded. So I'm just going to use the same question. Before I do the answer key, I need to add the options. 4, 4, 5, 6. So I add different options. 2 of these are correct, so I can actually do answer key, and I can say, you know what, both of those are correct. And since it has 2 parts, I'm going to make it 2 points, and I can go back to edit question. Okay, so now this is a quiz that's going to be automatically graded. I've typed in the right answers, and same thing with the others. I'm going to delete this one because I didn't actually add correct answers to it. So now this is a quiz with right and wrong answers. Okay, and so that just again allows for automatic grading. Alright, so when you're ready for them to take it, you can click send. And there's a couple of different ways. You can email it to them directly. You can grab a link and copy that link. And I would say, like, if you're throwing this into like Google Classroom or something like that, this is definitely the way to do it. Just copy that link and throw it into Google Classroom as an assignment. Or if you have a website and you want to embed it, you can do that here. So that's if you want to use it as a quiz feature and function. Okay. So that's what you can do. You can also change the subject and the message if you want to, if you're sending it by email, if you want to do that. You can also add collaborators from here. And what that means is these people will be able to do certain things. So again, it shows you here what it is. But if I want to add somebody, I click here. I start typing. I can add this person as a collaborator, and I can say they can edit it. Okay, and I can notify them. I can also prevent them from changing access and adding new people. That's always a good thing to check. If you're adding someone that you don't necessarily trust not to add someone else, but you do trust them to make edits. All right. Once the responses come in, you can see them here. And if you want to get an Excel spreadsheet, you just click here, and then you'll create it. And it's taking a minute to link. And now all of my responses are coming in right here, and I can actually view them as they come in. So if you had something that was like a paragraph answer, and just as a kind of heads up, you can click here. You can do format, you can do text wrapping, and then you can wrap. And then you'll notice like this question here wrapped a little bit. So, you know, if something was typed out very long, then I would be able to actually read it, and it's not, you know, weird format or something like that. Okay, and now this is forever. I'm done. If you want to keep them locked out, you just turn it